Welcome back, everybody. This is Tucker. Let's talk weather. I'm tracking a couple storms that will bring everything this week. Severe weather potential, winter storm threats, and the long-awaited shift in the temperature regime. Hey, everyone. Good to see you again. Hope you're having a good weekend. Hope you had a nice week. And boy, do we have some changes ahead here. We have something on the order of 3, 4, even 5 individual weather threats this week. So I'm going to break down each one of them, make sure you're prepared for what's ahead. And yes, that does mean if you're trying to stay inside and watch March Madness, I may have an excuse for you to do so. I want to start you off with a quick overview of everything on its way, and we're taking a look here at Saturday to start things off. It's going to be a reasonably quiet day. Could be some snow in the mountains out west, could be some light rain in the mid-Atlantic. But as we get into Sunday, things become more active, and it all has to do with this guy right here, that storm system in the north-central U.S. Now, even though it's in the north-central U.S., doesn't mean the impacts are just going to be there. In fact, you're seeing a cluster of storms develop, and we may see these late Saturday as well. And those storms are going to bring the chance for some severe weather to Kansas, Missouri, and then on Sunday during the afternoon to parts of the southeastern U.S. And you can see those storms really starting to burst here on Sunday, again, across the southeastern, even Midwest could see some storms as well. In the meantime, a little farther north where it's colder, that's a decent bit of snow showing up, and that brings the potential for a winter storm as well. Meanwhile, out west here, like I said, things get active pretty quick. We have the potential for some heavy rain and snow. So out west, especially towards the end of the weekend and start of the week, we're going to see just yet another storm system impact really Oregon, Idaho, Montana, and Washington State as well. As we move into your Monday, you can see that rain reaching the southeastern U.S., some snow in the higher elevations in New England, and we catch a very brief break, but our next system is going to swing through, and while it's not as strong, you can see this here. Similar to the last one, and I didn't mention this before, but similar to the last one, it's going to bring some strong wind to the north-central U.S., and it's also going to increase the wildfire risk, at least across portions of the south-central U.S., as it creates some more windiness out there as well. So that sort of sums up, honestly, the next 3 or 4 days, which is when most of our weather is happening here. I'll give you a brief look at what's ahead after that, and while you're not seeing as much at the surface, what we are going to see is a pretty big shift in the temperatures, and you can kind of see our jet stream going more so like this. I'll talk about how that impacts what it's going to feel like where you live too. Hey, if you aren't subscribed yet, by the way, be sure to do so. We do these weather updates very regularly, and if you have any questions in the comments, I'm happy to answer all of you. Let's get over to our severe weather threat first, though, and what you're looking at is Saturday night's risk across a portion of central Missouri. This includes Kansas City as well. This is really more so a large hail, damaging wind threat. It's not the biggest concern, but we do have to at least note there will be some storms out there. I don't expect a tornado threat, but if there is one, it would be pretty low. Now, our next threat, this is bigger. This is on Sunday. You can see it stretching from eastern Texas as far north and east as Nashville, Tennessee. So quite a broad area included in this risk. It's a level 2, and the greatest concerns here are going to be damaging wind, large hail, and there is a low chance for tornadoes as well. So these two threats are what we need to be keeping an eye on. Let me show you the timing on them, and we're going to start here again with your Saturday night. You can see this is actually closer to about 9, 10 o'clock. You get the cluster of storms in Missouri, in eastern Kansas. It kind of doesn't do too much. It meanders a bit at night, and then now here we are Sunday morning. You're going to see it get organized as more moisture gets pulled north off the Gulf. Here we are in the afternoon. Storms are just about to pop in the south, and there they go. You can see across Tennessee, northern Mississippi, into Arkansas, even eastern Texas. We have storms that develop in the second half of Sunday, and they're going to remain strong even after dark here. So this severe weather threat's going to be closer to the late afternoon through the evening before they eventually sag south and they lose their energy because, it becomes night and lose in stability. But certainly that second half of Sunday, quick burst of storms and that severe weather threat will accompany, like I said, damaging wind, large hail, certain concerns, low chance for tornadoes too, though. So we'll be watching this one as well. Now I'm going to take you north as that severe weather threat is ongoing in the south and central U.S. And again, the driver is this storm system that'll be passing through Minnesota and Wisconsin. And you can see as we get into Sunday morning, there's some snow in Wisconsin, some sleet out there as well. Some snow actually in the Dakotas, Minnesota, and the heaviest stuff is going to fall in Michigan on the front end of this as it begins to strengthen and generate more snowfall, basically. There will be a little bit of lake effect snow on the backside and quite a bit of wind, by the way, as we head into Monday. So it'll be a quick, 1-2 day storm, and the totals, well, they're not going to be significant if you're anywhere far from the Canadian border, but you can see amounts up here that are going to be largely in the 1 to 3 range in those lighter bluish green colors. Those darker blue colors, though, those are areas that could see at least 3 inches and as much as 6, especially where those purple colors are showing up. A little bit of lake enhancement in the usual spots, of course, and we're going to be keeping an eye on just how much wind is on the backside here, too, because that could definitely make things a bit busier. But this is our next potential winter storm, and we do have another chance for snow as we get later down the track, but that's for next week, and we'll be watching many of these same areas as well. One of the biggest stories this month, and if you watched my March weather outlook I put out about a month ago, you would have been ready for this, is that we've seen this very mild weather across the eastern chunk of the U.S. and the central. I mean, most of the U.S. has been very mild this March, but the western U.S. has been the exception, and you can see that cooler than average weather that we've seen out there. That begins to change this week. And by the way, this map gives you an idea of what the temperature anomalies have been this month. I'm going to take you to our air masses in the lower levels of the atmosphere. And it's a bit of a mess as we start things off. There's not a lot of organization because we have storm systems moving through. But one thing stands a bit more clearly. As we get into the back half of the weekend, you're going to begin to see those orange colors, those warmer than average colors, take over the western U.S. Here we are as soon as Monday, that mild air returning to the west, and even on Tuesday, it builds, and we're not even done. On Wednesday, we're looking at a pattern that's going to look something like this, which is going to bring that spring-like weather to portions of the western U.S. that have not seen it at all. Meanwhile, out east, I do have to mention, while this is not a significant burst of cold, it will be back to normal, and if not a little bit cooler for a time. What I will say, here we are heading into Thursday. While it is expected to stay mild out west, I do expect this pattern here is going to be pretty quick moving. So with that said, I don't expect this is going to be a long-term trend, at least not yet. But let me show you the actual temperatures at the ground, and you can get an idea for what it will actually feel like outside. And we're going to move this here, starting with your Saturday, of course, and looking at Saturday. You can already tell the morning starts off mild out in the eastern U.S., and as we head into the afternoon, there are those warmer weather colors. You can see the temperatures in the 60s into the Dakotas. We're going to be warm on the East Coast, up to the 60s, even possibly into New England. The West isn't bad, but it's a little on the cool side. And of course, you do have that colder air mass where we have our storm approaching in the Great Lakes region. Moving this into Sunday, here's your weather pattern. Warm in the south, cooler farther north. We're seeing that cooler air reach farther into the northeast, and the milder air here on Sunday begin to reach the western U.S. On Monday, you can see high temperatures out west. We're looking at highs getting into the 60s, even 70s into Washington state, at least in the more desert regions of that state. We're looking at 60s into Montana. It's not going to be cold out east, but it'll be a bit cooler. On Tuesday, you can see once again that warmer weather, especially extending farther north in the western U.S. We're talking about 80s pretty easily into the valley in California. And meanwhile, it is a bit cooler farther east. And then on Wednesday, still, that mild air in the central U.S. If you're in the south central, you're a real winner this week. The northeast, not bad, but cooler. Not bad, but cool. And in the western U.S., you can see as we get into the later afternoon here on Wednesday, that's some very warm weather, at least in the valleys out there. And certainly, it's going to feel a lot more like spring, perhaps more like May in many areas too. So expect this big turnaround to be a story this week. I will add too, though, as these temperatures warm, and as we do have some storm systems coming through, I wouldn't be shocked if there is an increased fire weather risk, at least for the Plains region, if not the southern, Rocky Mountains region. So do make note of that, and I'll be keeping an eye on that for you too. Make sure to ask your questions in the comments. I will answer each and every one of you. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Hope you're enjoying March Madness and your weekend and everything going on, and be sure to check back. I'll see you here next time.